Hi, my name is Dale Little, and the man that you're looking at is not me. That would happen to be, as you can see, it says Reverend Jim Martin. Actually, Reverend Jim Martin is a Jesuit priest. He's not, which I thought they were supposed to be the very Reverend Jim Martin, but whatever. The thing is that I've been a carpenter by trade for much of my life. Built houses for a while, but in the midst of all that, I've done much ministry. This man has basically he's sold out priest. The only problem is he's not sold out to God. He's sold out to the Democratic Party. And we'll answer some of the questions here. You see down at the bottom of the screen, why do people hate migrants and refugees? Well, do people hate migrants and refugees? I guess someone does. The world's got a lot of hate in it. Actually, maybe the Democratic Party hates them enough to put them through this grueling trek up here just to be used as pawns right before election to try to make it an election issue. I would say if anyone hates them, that would be the ones that hates them, the ones that likes to use them, and then once they're through with them, they're done with them. They have no use for them. But to presume that because people differ about the solution to this mass of immigrants and what they call refugees come up here from I think it's Honduras and then up through Guatemala and Mexico, just because people disagree on how they should be handled and what should be done, has nothing to do with hate. That comes out of the playbook from some years back by the LGBT crowd when they started basically saying that anyone that disagreed with them was full of hate and were intolerant. And so this is the same thing. If you don't agree with the Democrats, if they propose a budget to put so much into child care or children's services of some kind, if Republicans want to reduce it by $5 or whatever, and it don't match the full amount that the Democrats think it should be, then the line goes that, well, Republicans hate children. Or if it's a women's issue, then just because Republicans or anyone else does not agree with exactly what the Democrats propose, then they hate women. And so all these people and the people groups are only used by the Democrats. They really care for no one. But this man, as a carpenter, anyone can go to a hardware store. They don't have to be a carpenter. They can go to a hardware store and they can buy a tape measure and they can buy a hammer, but that does not make them a carpenter. Anyone can buy a clerical collar and put it on, but that does not make them a man of God. And so I'd say it's kind of pretentious. This man starts off with a lie right off the bat, trying to say that people that disagree with him hate migrants and refugees if they don't believe we should just have open borders and let all of them come in as refugees. Well, let's go on a little bit. We're not going to have time to look at all of it, but we'll look at it a little bit.
Why do people hate migrants and refugees? Some conservative Christians argue that they're breaking the law by coming across the border. Well, first of all, seeking asylum is a human right. Second, these Christians know that the law is not the only judge of morality. There are unjust laws. After all,
well, yes, that's true. There are unjust laws. It's a matter of which laws are unjust. But he goes on and contradicts himself right behind this.
Some of those same Christians have no trouble saying that other laws are unjust, like abortion and same-sex marriage. So why?
So, you see where this man's coming from. Even though the Bible speaks against murder, it speaks against homosexual activity, man lying with man, woman with woman, regardless of that, evidently those things are okay, but you have to receive these refugees on their terms, basically.
Why are they being so selective? Other Christians like Jeff Sessions and Sarah Huckabee Sanders use Bible verses and talk about things being biblical to defend their positions.
Maybe it's because, why we're so selective. Say that some laws are just and some are unjust. Well, because some are and some aren't. That's the very same position he was taking at first, and then he switched and tried to be accusatory toward anyone else. I guess he thinks because of, he changed his mind mid-sentence almost, and he thinks that either all laws are just or all laws are unjust. There is no, stand alone. But anyway, it's ridiculous.
It is very biblical to enforce the law. That is actually repeated a number of times throughout the Bible.
But they must know that the whole thrust of the Old and New Testaments, when it comes to migrants and refugees, is that we're supposed to welcome them. That's God's law. So why are so many Christians still against migrants and refugees? Well, one reason is that they've been so demonized and dehumanized. The president said the other day that they were infesting the country, as if they were vermin. That's the way not.
Okay. Here he makes another lie. The president, and you see that this is all political. Here's a man that's supposed to be a man of God, and he sold himself out to go the way of Balaam. He sold himself out to the Democrat Party. And so what the president actually said, I went and looked it up. I both read it and I listened to it on the video. And what the president said was, when he was talking about infesting our land, he was talking about MS-13 gang members. He was not talking about just all refugees or all immigrants, illegal immigrants coming in. He was talking about MS-13 gang members who, for some reason, Democrats have been protecting. It seems like the last while, like they're good people. They're not. They're evil. Very violent. About as violent as they come. And you see here then he starts comparing the president and those who may support him as Nazis. That's the easy way of justifying their own hatred. If they can portray President Trump as a Nazi, then that gives them almost a moral obligation to oppose him. So they've started that mess and are continuing to try to align and associate Donald Trump with Hitler.
Nazi leaders talked about Jews, and the Hutu talked about Tutsi in Rwanda, and how Americans talked about Japanese who were interned in World War II. It's much easier to treat people like dirt if they're seen as animals.
And let's see, who was president during World War II? Who had those people interred? Franklin D. Roosevelt and Harry Truman? I think they were both Democrats. And so, don't project this stuff on Republicans. So we see this is what goes on throughout the video. And I'm not going to try to cover all of it. But that's enough to see right there, the lies that this man is espousing. And he calls himself a priest. And it's like I said, any man can go to the hardware store and buy a tape measure and a hammer, but that does not make them a carpenter. Any man can buy him a clerical collar, but that does not make him a man of God. And I do not hesitate. I have no worries. This is not a man of God. His fruit bears him out. He's a liar, and he'll tell those lies, and just in order to support his Democratic candidates. And so we'll stop it there. It's been exposed well enough. My name again is Dale Little, the Rescue America Ministries.